Ticket Machine is the official ticket broker of Spartan Nation. No matter what you need a ticket for, border to border, coast to coast, the Ticket Machine is your ticket source. So whether you need to get into the hottest concerts, the best sporting events, you want the best seats in the house, or you just want to get in the door, when you want to go to any event that requires a ticket, anywhere, border to border, coast to coast, it's always theticketmachine.com. Theticketmachine.com, 517-655-3201. Check it out today at theticketmachine.com.
Good timing on that.
Right, exactly. Don't change. Another tackle.
I guess from a personnel standpoint with them, when you lose a running back like Larkin at this point in the year, how do you scout them? Because they become a different team a little bit without him, right?
You'd say they become a different team, maybe. Yeah. Personnel always changes things, but Northwestern does what they do, and they do it really well. So they'll continue to run outside zone with all the pullers in front of it, and they'll continue to run the inside zone, and they'll continue to throw those check downs and bubbles to the back, because their backs can catch regardless of who's out there. So they adapt well. It fits right within their scheme. They're good to go.
And they shifted a receiver back in there, I think.
Yeah, and he played tailback before he was moved to receiver. He's sort of a do-it-all type of guy, but he's certainly a guy you have to be prepared for wheeling out of the backfield and running routes out of the backfield, because he certainly can catch.
Like through a couple games here, I remember back around media day, I think you said maybe 8 to 10-ish linebackers you felt good about that could play good football. Are you happy with that sort of rotation you've gotten out there, especially at the star position, the strong side position, where we've seen more bodies there, obviously, than the others?
Yeah, we've been able to rotate both our outside linebacker positions quite a bit, and quite honestly, Byron Bull is fully capable of rotating inside. It's just a little bit harder to rotate that communicator out. But We've been able to play a lot of guys at the outside positions. They've all been playing pretty well. It keeps them fresh, and I think people are happy with the rotation.
Have you been happy with, after the first couple of weeks, a lot of yardage given up in the passing game that's steadily gotten better? What would you attribute that to? Is the pass pressure or the quarterback pressure anything to do with that?
Pass defense is team defense. I mean, it's pass rush, it's pass coverage, it's the underneath coverage with the backers, it's the deep. It is 100% team defense. You can't point to any position group like defensive backs and say that. I will say this: I think we looked at it, and teams are 75% pass against us, and averaging over 55 pass attempts a game, I think. So there's going to be some yards when that happens. We need to make those turn into more negative plays. There needs to be more strip sacks. There needs to be more interceptions, things like that. Because when people do drop back and pass 55 times, you ought to be able to pin your ears back and get after it.
And that's the kind of idea you talk about when you say you want to make a team one-dimensional.
Right.
So, correct, right?
Yeah, that is the idea, and it has to result in some bigger plays. And if the quarterback can stand back there and pass like Pascal and gets 4 tries to get 10 yards, usually he's going to get 10 yards. But now you add some of the other aspects, specifically being able to get after him and make him uncomfortable. We need to end up getting some big plays before the ball gets down the field. There'll be yards, though. That's okay.
What was that last year? I mean, that was something Coach D said. It was the inability to get the pressure against Thorson that really kind of started things in motion.
Well, what Northwestern, they get rid of the ball quickly. They understand first down, second down. They try to really stay on track, stay on schedule, gain 5 yards on first down, try to make sure the third downs are short and mediums and not long, and then that way they never have to keep the ball in the quarterback's hands too long. If it's 3rd and 12, quarterback's probably going to have to hold on the ball a little bit longer, and that's when your pressure can really get it to be a factor. But if all you're throwing is quick game, doesn't matter how many people you bring.
You've been a position coach, and now you're the boss of the defense. So I'm going to ask you about Chuck Bulla. You even mentioned you were concerned about defensive ends going into spring, going into fall, but they have really played well. Would you talk about Chuck and the impact he's made?
Well, he's a football junkie, and we got a group of guys in the defensive end room that are just like that. I mean, he meshes really well with the Kenny Willikis and the Drew Beasleys and all those types of guys. I mean, they want to sit in there, they want to talk ball with him, they want to find ways to make things happen. Probably the hours spent in the defensive end room has grown a whole bunch, and yeah, he's doing a good job, and we're getting a lot of guys that are getting the opportunity to play. And I think this past week he saw some added pressure, and it's starting to pay dividends in terms of getting after the quarterback.
about you personally? I know before the season you said you'd be in the upstairs and downstairs and then upstairs and then downstairs the last 2 weeks, and Margaret said it was a lot to do with the punt, but how have you seen the difference in just viewing the game from calling it too?
You know, I think calling the game is pretty comparable. I try to stay away from the action a little bit when I'm calling the game, but the bottom line is to be able to be down there and look guys in the eyes and make adjustments face to face between series, and also be able to make the punt game adjustments and stand out there and make the punt calls as they're running out onto the field. Those are things you only can do from the field. So as long as you can keep yourself emotionally out of the mix when you're actually calling the plays, I think upstairs, downstairs are pretty comparable.
So yourself staying there for the rest of the season?
I don't know that it is something I need to commit to, because I tried to commit to something that I honestly thought was the truth before, and it got changed. So how am I supposed to commit right now? Then he called me a liar. I don't know.
Fair enough.
With Coach D, I mean, this is a guy that's obviously been in your shoes, and I mean, he takes a big ownership in this defense. And having been there so long, I mean, how are you feeling now in the defensive coordinator job? Do you feel like there's latitude to be you?
Yeah,
coach?
I do, because I also know that he's been in a situation as a coordinator, a defensive back coach, where he's felt the squeeze that he had to do things one way or another during his career at certain points. So he definitely does, but it is his defense and it is his team, so certainly we do things the way he wants it done.
He's told us numerous times your uncle never once told him to change a play. Have you had to remind him of that?
I have not reminded him of that. I tell you what, though, I do know this. My uncle used to come in periodically at the beginning of the week, and particularly in big games, and he would walk in and say, you know, Field 8 looks awful good this week. And Field 8 was about as base a defense as you could be, and it was just sort of his way of reminding, just play good, sound, fundamental defense. You don't have to get crazy. You don't have to out-scheme it. And I think that's what Coach D's allowed us to do here over our 12 years, play our base football and play it fast, play it hard, play it well.
Is there such a thing as a coach's coach?
A coach's coach?
Yeah, like the guy that, you know, you can say, yeah, that he's got a big picture and he lets us do what we want to do.
Coach D'Antoni is a coach's coach based on the track record of the assistants staying around. I mean, I think that more than me saying it or anybody having to talk about it, the track record of people wanting to stay here tells you he's a coach's coach.
Any true freshmen, Mike, that are sort of nipping at the heels of getting on the field that we haven't seen yet? That
you haven't seen yet. You know, Michael Dowell is doing a great job. Haven't seen him out on the field yet, I don't think. Trying to think about it. Without having a roster in front of me, thinking mostly the guys that you've seen are going to be who you will see. However, there will be some guys that we're going to try to get their 4 games in, since the rules now allow you to get 4 games in. It's just a matter of when.
What about Galen Gervin? That was a guy that
Gervin, yeah, absolutely. You could see Gervin, absolutely. See that without that roster in front of me, no doubt about that.
Is the reason I guess we haven't seen him yet just because you have a lot of players at that spot right now that have gotten a year or 2 under their belt, you know?
Right, so Shakur Brown and Trey Person, those guys have been in our system. They know a few more of the adjustments. The adjustments that you put in during a week of game planning aren't new. They're not the first time they've ever heard those things. And if they're doing a good job, you're going to give them that opportunity. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Gervin either.
And Xavier Henderson's been on the field, and then a lot of nickel as one of the 2 deep, not really a star guy, which has been something the freshmen have done in the past, it seems like, for whatever reason. How's he doing? It looked like there might have been an error in that Indiana game that he is influenced of, maybe.
He's doing a good job. I mean, that's happens fast. There's always going to be growing pains, regardless of who the person is. So, no, we're excited about his growing reps, and I think they'll continue to grow, and he'll keep getting better.
And when you go to that nickel, if I'm not mistaken, you bring in Morrissey and Simmons, you bring in some hitters when you go to nickel, too.
Yeah, we got some guys that can run. We got some guys that can cover. There's a lot of speed on the field. There's no doubt about that. So we're excited about that group, and we're allowed to, not allowed, but we're able with those bodies to continue to change up what we do and bring some different coverages and do some things that maybe we haven't done at this point.
And in that group, Randall seems like he's getting a little closer to the quarterback all the time, getting some sacks and pressures.
I'm proud of the way that Randall's out there giving effort every single play. I mean, he is impacting the quarterback. There's no doubt about it.
And now he's defeating blocks a little more rather than being a speed guy and getting eaten up a little bit. Would you agree that he's improved his ability to to defeat blocks on his way out there?
I think the fact that it's become an every time thing for him is resulting in more plays being made. You know, if you get 20 reps and you bust your tail all 20 of them, and you have his type of talent, you're going to have an impact more often. So his mentality's flipped the switch where he wants to be an impact every single play, and we're seeing the results of that.
What are some differences in players' reactions compared to when you're on the field, you know, giving them, you know, real time, you know, instructions or something in between plays compared to when you're upstairs?
You may have to ask them that. You may have to ask them that. I don't know. Okay. I don't know the answer to that. I just know that it's a little bit less of the telephone game. But the bottom line is you have to be able to separate yourself from the emotion when you're calling the play, whether you're upstairs or downstairs, and you need to be able to make adjustments with the players, whether it's from the upstairs or the downstairs. But I think the last couple of weeks it's worked well, and we'll see where it goes.
When you look back at last year, the Northwestern game, they got into that rhythm. They were difficult to stop, end of regulation and overtime. What was it that clicked for them? And when you look back at that, you can't give away your game plan on things, but when you look back at that, what made them so successful at the end there?
But probably you'd say mistakes. I mean, you can't play 3 plays well and 1 play poorly, especially when that 1 poor play is a big play. And if you look at every one of those overtime periods, there was at least 1 play that was a significant chunk and put us in a mode where we're really behind the sticks and we're the ones on the defensive instead of being able to be on the offensive. So you just need to be sound every single snap, and Northwestern offense, the same type of deal. You need to execute every single snap. This is an interesting game because we do what we do, they do what they do. No one, for the most part, is trying to trick each other. We're trying to out-execute each other. It's always a good game in that regards.
Coach. Just add one more for you, Coach. I'm just curious, when you are on the field, who's sort of your main eyes up top? I know you're in contact with a lot of the coaches, but just is there one sort of go-to guy up top that's giving you that perspective?
Well, Coach Bullitt, from the front 7 perspective, linebackers in protection and run game, and Coach Treadwell in terms of the back end and the routes. So those are the 2 guys we're communicating with upstairs.
Thanks, Mike.